Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. And wouldn't you know it, once again, out of the blue, into the white, they're at it again. They're debunking chemtrails. Articles all over the internet, all in the last couple weeks. I counted 24 in total. Why is this? I don't know who pays these people and why they think we would take them seriously, especially with all of the conspiracy theories, put out there by the fake news media, the lamestream media. We got ABC News and USA Today. I'm going to focus on just these two articles just to show how lame the counter argument against the chemtrail conspiracy are. As you all know, this is one of my favorite topics. It's always fun to bring up, and I really enjoy thumping cojones of meteorologists whenever they bring this topic up. So it's been a sport of mine for many a year. We're gonna dig right into it. If you're watching this on BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, or it's been downloaded, put anywhere on the internet, come over to @ClimateViewer on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, gently smush that like button if you enjoy this content. Please support my work on connect.climateviewer.com. And there are links to donate and support my work in the details of this video. Enough said, let's get to it. So those long, thin clouds you see behind planes are contrails, not chemtrails. Oh no, we're fighting about semantics again. So semantics and verbal ninjutsu seem to be the weapon of choice in almost all of these debunking or fact checking. I'm debunking, they're fact checking. I'm debunking the fact check. I'm fact checking the fact checkers. Because somebody's got to do this. I mean, these people. I swear. And make sure that when if you get the chance, you enjoy this video, be sure to go over and send this to the authors, because I'm sure that they're probably going to learn something from it. Because they don't ever do their work. I mean, they're literally copy pasta journalists at this point. So they don't do any work. And especially when you got a guy like me who's put 15 years in, it's not going to happen. And I'm not going to, you just got notified because I literally just posted this, Jimmy. But what up, chat? Let's go. The chemtrail conspiracy has been around since the 1990s, stemming from a United States Air Force war report on weather modification. So right off the get, this author, who's this fool? Kelly Jones, is assuming that owning the weather in 2025 is where all of this came from. That if it weren't for the Air Force 2025 owning the weather by 2025, that there would be no chemtrail conspiracy. And that's just ridiculous on its face. But we'll get into that. So I'm not going to read you all of the shenanigans posted in here. We're going to focus solely on what are they saying and why are they saying it. So yeah, there, others believe a much more sinister theory. Some people, scientists explain their contrails, anything in there, water vapor, the huge. Others believe it's much more sinister theory. The clouds are actually chemicals being distributed from airplanes, or chemtrails, short for chemical trails. Just a question, Kelly, are these chemicals, and do they come out of the back of planes, and are they cited in like 19 peer-reviewed journals as heavy metals that are found in jet exhaust? So they are metal chemicals distributed from the airplane. I'm just saying, I mean, your words, not mine, that chemicals being distributed from the airplane, or chemtrails, is short for chemical trails. Like I said, infographic nerd, read a lot, These are the chemicals coming out of the back of the plane. These chemicals are in the jet fuel. These chemicals make cloud seeds. Cloud seeds make water vapor stick to them. Water does not turn into clouds without cloud seeds. The cloud seeds are metals. They're chemicals. Damn. I mean, the semantic hurdles that these journalists must go through in order to write this shite is amazing to me. Believers say the planes are actually being used to drop chemical or biological agents on unknowing populations, and that it is a top secret plot led by government officials or nefarious global elitists. We call those technocrats and billionaires with the goal of manipulating whole societies. Okay, that was really freaking broad, but let's be real. There is a long history of exactly that. I didn't plan on this, but I prepared a smorgasbord of evidence for the jury, and you guys are the jury. So you can tell me guilty or not guilty at the end of this. But if we come over here to climateviewer.com/Cirrus Clouds Matter, one of the very first thing you're going to see right here at the top is articles on contrail induced cirrus clouds. That's what the scientists be calling them. Ship tracks, sounding rockets, and biological weapons, commatives, and terrorism. So, as Kelly puts it, chemical or biological agents dropped on unknowing populations. That's never happened before, has it? I mean, who the hell would do that? Well, let's take a look. It was a conspiracy, military experiments on unsuspecting public. This was back in the 1950s through the 70s, 1945 through 1970. The Manhattan-Rochester Coalition researched on health effects of radioactive materials and tests on vulnerable populations without consent, St. Louis, 1940 to 1970. I wrote this shit in 2013. This is one of the very first articles I ever wrote on chemtrails. It was a conspiracy. The military did. Captain Tom, I know you heard the word commatives. I'm going to go back to it, but I want to focus. Go ahead. Let's go ahead and focus on the most tinfoil hat part of this. You're saying that Kelly Jones, right? That's her name. Kelly Jones is saying that believers say planes are actually being used to drop chemical or biologic agents on unknowing populations. Like that's never happened before. So, through this case study, the author explores how a large number of participants inside an organization will willingly participate in organizational acts that are harmful to others, and how large numbers of outsiders who may or may not be victims of organizational activities are unable to determine illegal or harmful activity by an organization. That is called compartmentalization. That is how you have a secret program to spray zinc cadmium sulfide by the United States Army Chemical Corps for what? Almost 25, 35 years? 35, yeah, 25 years? 45 to 70? 25 years. Secret. And by the way, we didn't find out about this 1945 to 1970, we didn't find out about this until I'm turning my volume down because I realized I'm going to end up yelling during this. We didn't find out about this until like 2008. Okay? So this was kept secret that long. Okay? Now, my point. I'm going to skip past everything on here. Talk a little bit about, secret weather warfare, Operation Ranch Hand Trail Dust, where they were spraying all the guys in Vietnam with all the agents, Agent Orange, Agent Green, Agent Blue, all of the different, agents, 3 million US gallons per acre, using bug warfare, dropping Operation Big Itch, Big Buzz, Mayday, Operation Dropkick. These are like 1956 test on Savannah, Georgia, designed to reveal information about the dispersal of yellow fever mosquitoes. State of Georgia, 1955, big buzz. 330,000 uninfected mosquitoes were dropped with E-14 bombs and dispersed on the ground. Yeah. So, and there's the original document. This is from DTIC.mil, not from a tinfoil hat outfit. But damn, come on. You're making my big itch right now, trying to say that there's no history of this. I mean, why would anybody ever think of something so crazy? Because the U.S. Army Chemical Corps sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide from coast to coast. Operation Large Area Coverage. This is only one of the Manhattan Project's offshoots, which was called dubbed the Manhattan-Rochester Coalition. Operation Large Area Coverage, 1957 through 1958, U.S. Army Chemical Corps operating with which dispersed microscopic zinc cadmium sulfide, a radioactive material, particles over much of the United States from a C-119 flying boxcar. The purpose was to determine the dispersion and geographic range of biological and chemical agents. Operation Dew 1 and 2, and then St. Louis, 1953. This is the one that broke the camel's back. This is the one that broke the story out into the public. And I went further and wanted to get all of those sprayings. So if you want to know the truth about it, you can look right here. Reference number, place, name, start date, end date, number of chemical releases, total quantity of zinc cadmium sulfide, approximate area affected in square miles, cadmium inhalation intake. And the list just goes on and on and on. This is 52, 62, 63, 64, 67, 68, and everywhere. I mean, California, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Corpus Christi, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas, Washington, Nevada, St. Louis, Chippewa National Forest, Minnesota, San Francisco, Fort Wayne, Indiana. I mean, they were just sprinkling this shit out like it was candy. Okay? So to say that they would, it's just crazy that this would ever happen. This is a, proof positive that it's happened in the past, and those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. This is by the Subcommittee on Zinc Cadmium Sulfide, Commission on Life Sciences, Division of Earth and Life Studies, National Research Council, admitting, the U.S. Army Chemical Corps sprayed radioactive material all over the United States, and then in this subcommittee said it didn't hurt anybody. But if you come up here and you watch this video, you can actually see that, it hurt people.
With plenty of chemicals and pathogens. People living in that area say the toxic chemicals are still leaking into the ground. Two citizens groups say they conducted a year-long investigation that found a startling number of people with cancer living in that area. 22 people on Kemp Lane, 42 on Rocky Springs, and 60 on Shookstown Road. Kristen Renee's
fingernails, toenails, the lesions
This is somebody
on my
who
body.
was actually sprayed by the zinc cadmium sulfide.
They fed me intravenously. I couldn't see well. They had to keep me in the dark.
It doesn't sound possible.
We were playing, and we ran in the house because we saw these guys in the alley in spacesuits. And that's what we called them. Now I know they were hazard suits.
These women who never met share similar stories and illnesses.
I remember the trucks coming by. I remember the men on the roof.
In the 90s, the Army admitted to Cold War spraying and even confessed to planting a cover-up that they were testing a smokescreen to protect cities in case of an aerial attack from the Soviet Union. The Army insisted the spray was harmless.
This was linked to the development and testing of weaponized radiation.
Sociologist Lisa Martino-Taylor has spent years researching the St. Louis testing and has gathered thousands of now declassified documents. She says cadmium would have been toxic enough, but government documents show a link between the St. Louis testing and military-funded human radiation experiments. The military now admits to some horrific Cold War human experiments around the country. A handful of hospital patients were secretly injected with plutonium. Babies and pregnant women unknowingly received radioactive iodine. And from 1946 to 1953, 73 mentally disabled children in Massachusetts were fed oatmeal containing radioactive calcium. Yet much of what happened in St. Louis remains shrouded in secrecy.
Not only was data missing, data had been deleted.
In 1972, the government destroyed Pruitt-Igoe.
What is it that made this study so classified that they're still not talking today about it?
Decades later, questions haunt these survivors. Could the chemical spray have caused their degenerative bone disease or the cancer that plagues them and their families?
That one of the types of cancer I had was papillary carcinoma, which the surgeon said to me when at first I was diagnosed. He said, "Did you have any radiation exposure?" And I said, "Not that I know of."
These women haven't forgotten, and they vow to keep talking about what happened now that someone's listening. Do you trust the government?
It's betrayal. I feel absolutely betrayed.
I know this has gone on in other countries, but I thought that our country was a little bit better than that.
Whether radioactive material was used remains an open question. What is not in dispute is the Army selected the poor and the powerless and exposed them to potentially harmful chemicals without their knowledge or consent.
And that was Lisa Martino Taylor, who published the Manhattan-Rochester Coalition papers. And that's where I got this from. So I want to start right there to Kelly Jones, who says that this is just crazy to even believe. It happened before. It can happen again. The other one, right here, biological. Cabin Tom, what have they changed in the spray that makes me extra tired recently? I don't know. I'm getting into, I don't know, bro. But I got a lot to go through, and I'm gonna try to ignore chat. I love you guys. I'm gonna try to get through this as fast as possible because I got a lot I want to get in here. Biological weapons, culminatives, and terrorists. Now, this is more modern day. This is actually still going on today. So you can't make this stuff up. These are actual, things going on today, like, chemical weapons, harassing agents, tear agents, vomiting agents, malodorants, incapacitating agents. The United States Army Chemical Corps and other branches of the military are still involved in making chemical weapons. The reason I bring this up, one of the things after 9/11 was a presentation of the Airline Pilot Association called Narco Airways, where they literally talked about using non-lethal technologies. This is the catchphrase of the day. That, basically, I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Incapacitate agent generator that can spray chemicals into the plane. Or maybe a net that falls from the ceiling, a smoke generator at the front, armed doors. We all know that the armed doors did make it onto the planes. Slippery foam dispenser near the front, injectable pharmaceuticals and tasers near the cabin door. These are all ideas come up with from the Joint Non-Lethal Weapons Directorate and the Department of Homeland Security. Literal crazy. The gay bomb. You cannot make that up. Yes, the gay bomb was a real thing. Air Force Wright-Patterson lab in Dayton, Ohio, they won a peace prize, which is pretty funny, for their gay bomb that will make enemy soldiers become sexually irresistible to each other, reference, harassing, annoying, and bad guy identifying chemicals, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. But this is the Joint Non-Lethal Weapons Directorate's Chemical Weapons Program and all of the locations that it's at. So you can look at all that. Not going to read it all out to you, but you know the names. You'll recognize a lot of these names. They're all there. Yeah, don't tell Alex Jones that that's what did it to the frogs. And then you've got, of course, biosafety labs, high containment labs, and other facilities for the U.S. Biodefense Program. Another source of, guess what, secret government stuff that could be sprayed, just like back in the day. This is all from the sunshineproject.org, which has been deleted from the internet. I pulled these from Wayback Machine. You cannot get this anywhere else, unless you go to the Wayback Machine yourself. Agent Green and the drug war. The agents threatened to legitimize agricultural biowarfare, are environmentally unsafe, and threaten wild plants and agriculture and fragile and biodiverse ecosystems. They endanger human health and, most importantly, a global ban on biological weapons. Sunshine Project. So Agent Green, his nasty stuff is being sprayed worldwide and has showed up in America. In Martin Gelsma's Chronology of Mycoherbicide Development Against Drug Plants with special reference to the genus Fusarium and Plespora, they basically use this stuff called F-oxysporum. And why was the military spraying this from planes in 2006, in the 90s? This is recent. This is not back in the Cold War, okay? This isn't like around World War II. This is in the 90s and 2000s. F-oxysporum. It's a mold that was designed, Agent Green, to kill cocaine crops in Colombia. So you can't make this stuff up. Agent Green, F-oxysporum, migrated from Colombia in South America up through this mold, made its way through Mexico, and was found in Texas. That's right. 1989-1990, Texas, USA farmers and ranchers reported numerous outbreaks and illnesses among pigs and horses. Tests find fumicin concentrations in corn-based horse feeds as high as 126 parts per million. 1990, in Cameron County, Texas, rates of neural tube birth defects begin to rise, primarily driven by the increase of encephaly, which halts brain development. This increase is noted. This increase is not noted until a year later. Now it is blamed on effects of Fusarium epidemic in corn, which was sprayed by the military on cocaine plants all the way in frickin' South America. Chemtrails? You want chemtrails? I got chemtrails. 2000, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued draft guidelines for the maximum levels of fumonisin. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. Fumonisin, probably. Fumonisin? Sounds good to me. Allowed in food. In a letter to federal officials, the Texas Department of Health worries that the level may be too high for people to consume corn as a dietary staple, especially Hispanic populations. 2002, December 12, Representative John Micah, Republican, Florida, brings up his desire to restart Fusarium mycoherbicide program in a House hearing titled America's Heroin Crisis, Colombian Heroin, and How We Can Improve Plan Colombia. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Plan Colombia, South America, heroin, cocaine, mycoherbicide, F-oxysporum, Agent Green. And it's probably still going on today. But you're just a conspiratard. Shut up. Shut up. we'll move along real quickly through some of these other stupid resources. So they say other things. Oh, it's all conspiracy. And then what do they use as their references? Because these lazy bastards in the fake news, this is ABC News in this case, Kelly Jones. I'm sorry, you're lazy AF. You probably should have called me. I'd have gave you a much better answer than these fools. But what did they, go American Chemical Society, UCAR, Federal Aviation Administration. Oh, I've had some talks with them. They had different conversations with me than they had with you. I have the recordings. Environmental Protection Agency. I went and testified to the EPA. They were not too happy about it. The 1996 report from the U.S. Air Force on militarization of weather modification. Yeah, we know about that one. Owning the weather in 2025. A 2020 report published by the Missouri Law Review saying that you're all quacks and that you genuinely believe this chemtrail nonsense. And then this one is the funny one. Oh, it's so funny. Joint study from the University of California, Irvine and the Carnegie Institutes for Science. Now, I want to bring this one specially to your attention because if you missed it, I was around for this one. I covered it when it happened back in 2016. And tell me if any of these names pop out and ring a bell for anybody. Anybody in chat recognize any of these names? Oh, wait. Mick West and Ken Caldera. Quantifying the expert consensus against the existence of a secret large-scale atmospheric spraying program. Do you want to know what they called it? SLAP. Secret large-scale aerial program. SLAP. Like a slap in the face. And Mick West was cited on this. And the reason why, can I rant for a second? The reason why this son of a bitch, Mick West and Ken Caldera are on here is because on Ken Caldera's Geoengineering group, which is a Google group, Mick West, who is a debunker, he runs contrailscience.com and metabunk.org. He was a Tony Hawk Pro Skater video game programmer who turned into a chemtrail debunker. That's all we know about Mick West. He worked for Bullfrog Software back in the day, making video games, probably something to do with fluid dynamics in physics. And then he got into debunking chemtrails. But Mick West has been a thorn in my side for the better part of 10 years till I whipped his ass sideways in a debate. He finally agreed to have one. He thought we were going to debate one thing. I made the whole debate about semantics. He had a very confused look on his face. You can't make that up. So that's what Mick West looked like right there. Go. So, yeah, Mick was very, very confused. I look at my statistics. I realize that people watch, if I do an hour-long video, they watch 15 minutes of it. If I write an article, you look at the time on page, it's 2 minutes. He's asking me why I use the word chemtrail instead of contrail. And I'm going, because nobody's Googling contrails. They're Googling chemtrails. Hell, I call them plane farts. You guys know that. All of this is in the details. All these links are in the details. So you can watch seconds. The Mick West debate. Nobody could have read that article in that amount of time. So the thing with that, what happened was an individual was sitting in the room with Max Bliss at the time. Where is it at? I think we could do a better job on that. Yeah, but here it is. We here at the FAA take condensation. So we actually called Dr. Rangasai Althori 3 separate times. All right, so the FAA, real quick, set up for this. I called Dr. Rangasai Althori, who is the head of the Federal Aviation Administration's Aviation Climate Change Research Initiative. And then I'm telling Mick about this because he doesn't get it, okay? And if you don't believe me, I'm going to play the tapes of me actually talking to the head of the Federal Aviation Administration's Aviation Climate Change Research Initiative. And he agrees with me. So despite these fact checkers, that scientist agreed with my logic. So you can argue all you want till you blue in the face. It's not going to make a damn to me. I don't care. I'm just going to make fun of you. Because that's what I do on this channel. But we had 3 separate discussions. And what I said to him was, why when Amanda calls you, when she calls the FAA and she says, I see all these chemtrails over my house. They're blocking out the sun. I don't like it. Why does the FAA come back and say, chemtrails are not a thing? Those are condensation trails, and they are perfectly normal. Instead of saying, we here at the FAA take chemtrails seriously. In fact, we understand that the climate implications of these cirrus clouds that are being created by planes is so grave that we are trying to use biofuels and innovate next generation transportation systems to avoid the climate effects of aviation and the pollution that's created. Do you see the look on his face right now? He's literally covering his mouth going, I am so spooked right now. I am screwed. Like, I am so losing this debate. You should read the comments. Like, there's nobody defending Mick. Mick's own people on Metabunk wouldn't defend him after this. Buy it. That would be a much more honest answer.
Well, I think you just put the word chemtrails in their mouth there. Like, they wouldn't, for a start, use the word chemtrails because they would say chemtrails aren't a thing because really chemtrails aren't a thing in the common understanding of the term, which is this large scale spraying program. You have a different definition of chemtrails. So I don't think the difference is he actually agreed with me. He says, actually, I think we could do a better job on that. Yeah, but he didn't agree with you that chemtrails are a thing, except in your semantic version of it. The problem is if the EPA or the FAA says that chemtrails are, if they use the word chemtrails, then all of a sudden everybody's going to say, oh, that's an admission that they've been spraying us for years, when obviously that's not true. Except, as again, in a semantic way, that there's pollution from planes that has effects. I mean, let's be realistic about this. Both you and I know that contrails have persisted and created cirrus clouds since the early 50s, right? Since the 20s, actually. Yeah, I mean, as far back as we've been flying, even when propeller planes, yes, they've been creating clouds. My favorite article was 1958. Jet Trails, Dim Sun, Palm Springs Gripes, followed up by the next year, Air Force tells City of Palm Springs, live with the trails or move the city. So, I mean, and then in 1972, the state of Illinois. Anyway, so yeah, he capitulates at every turn because he's got nowhere to run. But we're going to go back to this real quick. So that's the Mick West that we're talking about here. And Mick West and Ken Caldera. Ken Caldera, geoengineer Ken Caldera. That's what he is. That's what he does. Ken Caldera, on his geoengineering forum, him and Mick West are having a debate about what geoengineering would look like as opposed to, say, chemtrails, just, persistent contrails, contrail cirrus, aviation-induced cirrus clouds, aviation-induced cloudiness. I mean, they've got so many terms for the same damn thing. In fact, I think I have them all pretty much here. How language controls the chemtrail debate. And chemtrails, persistent contrails, spreading contrails, contrail cirrus, contrail-induced cirrus, contrail-induced cloudiness, aviation-induced cloudiness, aviation-induced cirrus, induced cirrus cloudiness, man-made clouds, artificial clouds, plane farts. I mean, bro. So, for your benefit, I did a what basically Mick West does for people. Clouds are intentionally being created in response. There's no way to prove or disprove this statement. Therefore, I avoid the trap. Things like that. Contrails are just condensation, just harmless water vapor. Response, condensing on what? Answer,
cloud seeds, or aerosols like soot and metal nanoparticles. This matters a lot. So if you want to be good at debunking fact checkers or debunking debunkers, you have to understand how they think and their typical regurgitated responses. These are pretty commonplace. So, of course, all of this came from a beautiful Facebook post that was shared to me by Dominic Marama today. And, you know, I jumped on it like stank on shit and just, you know, put a couple things up there for them to chew on. Like, oh, wait, you know, airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering. So if it's not geoengineering, then why are they saying right here, fact check, USA Today, no, airplane contrails are not being used to combat climate change. Blocking, April 3rd, Instagram, blah, 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 blah. Blocking the sun again to protect us from climate change, read the post caption. Thanks to the U.S. Air Force and Navy for keeping us safe from the sun. It also contains the hashtags chemtrails and geoengineering. Well, guess what? Climate fans, trying to keep my cursing to a minimum. Guess what, motherfuckers? It is geoengineering. Why is it geoengineering? Not because I say it's geoengineering, because Chuck Long from NOAA's Earth Systems Research Lab says it is. Don't believe me? Well, then why the hell is this here? Smithsonian Magazine. Airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering. So let's just take the word accidental out of there, okay? I'm just going to put my hand over the word accidental. In fact, let's just real quick, let's just fix that. I'm going to fix that real quick. Hold on, everybody. Give me 1 second. Boom. There. Now it's fixed. Airplane contrails may be creating geoengineering. That looks so much better. I just hacked the web page. You know, little inspect element real quick and just change it. You know what? Let's take it a step further because we're having fun here tonight. Plane farts may be creating geoengineering. I mean, that's what the article is saying to us, okay? Yeah, the maybe is all right. Good point in chat. Nikki nailed it. Plane farts are creating geoengineering. That is the truth. That's a much more true. Jet exhaust, plane farts, chemtrails, contrails, persistent contrails, aviation-induced cloudiness, they are creating geoengineering. Want to know how? I'm sure you do. You're probably asking yourself that question right now. Well, how is it, Jim? Well, let's get right to that. Commercial aviation creating ice haze and accidental geoengineering at weathermodificationhistory.com. The world's top source for just the facts minus my opinion. It is just the facts, baby. In if the recent clear sky brightening trend were due to cleaner air and fewer aerosols alone, it should be accompanied by an increase by direct downwelling shortwave radiation. One part of solar radiation reaching the surface directly from the sun. That didn't happen, Long reported to the American Geophysical Union in the fall meeting in San Francisco. Instead, Long and his colleagues found that the continental United States sites they analyzed, direct downwelling shortwave radiation remained roughly steady between 1995 and 2007 under cloud-free conditions. Rather, it was diffuse shortwave radiation that increased. Now, this is going to get really complicated. I don't expect everybody to understand every word of this, but I'm going to try to keep it real simple and just focus on this quote right here, okay? Because it's technical. And I don't want to make this too sciencey today. We're trying to keep this simple. Simply, that couldn't happen if fewer aerosols alone were the reason behind the brightening. If anything, fewer aerosols should mean less diffuse shortwave radiation. because there's less things for it to diffuse off of. Because particles in the atmosphere can bounce light around and back to space. So the scientists dug deeper, and in a provocative new analysis, not yet published, Chuck Long suggests that high altitude ice haze created by water and other emissions like these emissions, Mad Jeeper, Rock on Jim, Mods, fellow climate buffs, thank you so much for the super chat, brother, man. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you appreciating me, man. That I'm talking about a sub-visual contrail generated haze of ice, which we do not classify as a cloud, but gives the blue sky a more whitish tint. This isn't even the clouds. This isn't even the lines in the sky. Okay? I really need to grab a drink. I'm shouting so much. Appreciate you, Mad Jeeper. He's talking about how the whole damn sky is getting whiter because of ice haze buildup from planes. And that is exactly what Mick West and Ken Caldera were having a conversation about on their group. They were comparing how blue the sky was and how much whiter it would get if they geoengineered. The irony of this is that's exactly what's going on. I mean, damn, have you not seen pictures? In fact, a friend of mine, Christine Leiden, sent me these today, which perfectly illustrate exactly what we're talking about. Roll that beautiful bean footage. So here we see what's called a sundog or a halo. And this was right at the same time that, this NOVA event that Suspicious Observer Ben Davidson was talking about. This was at 4:02 in California today. So this happened during that event at that time, kind of coincidental. But what you see is you got the sun here, you got the halo, and you see all this ice haze, all this bright white fuzz. That's what the hell he's talking about. He's not talking about this stripe or this stripe that's now starting to turn into a cirrus cloud. That's what most of us think about when we think about geoengineering or chemtrails. He's actually referring to all this white, funky, milky ice haze that makes the sky white, that makes the sun whiter. That's accidental geoengineering that Chuck Long be talking about. But as you can see here, what makes these pictures very interesting is at first we have 3 separate shadows coming off of this. So that means that in this photo, we actually have ice haze buildup above and below. This is also what's known as an ice supersaturated region. So the sun is casting a shadow, which is diffusing and diffracting through the water vapor, and it's creating 3 separate shadows here. Okay? And then as we progress, you're going to see the 3 shadows again. You're going to see the 3 shadows again. You can see that this has actually gotten a little closer to the sun. Now watch what it does when it actually meets the sun. Now, all 3 of those shadows have combined and are actually lining up perfectly because this Lancelot Dufresne, Jim Lee, and we all win because of your knowledge, my friend Lancelot. And I appreciate you supporting me right now, trying to do everything I can to get the funds together to pay for the server for the next year and my Adobe Creative Suite, which is like $600 just by itself for Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator. The thing that I'm used to make all of these infographics, that junk is expensive. Okay. So your money is supporting my family and supporting my work. I greatly appreciate it. Back to the show. Thank you so much, Lancelot. So as you see down here, The shadow is actually beneath it, and then it goes right over it and past it. The plane's actually right here. This is the end of the plane right there. Y'all can see that. That's the end of the white stripe, but the shadow continues. And that's because of all of that white milky haze that's built up. That's what we're talking about here. That buildup of haze. That is geoengineering. Whether they want to argue it or not, it is geoengineering, not because I said so, but because Chuck Long said so. And all the references are down here. Accidental geoengineering from the Cooperative Institute for Research and Environmental Sciences, CRES, NOAA Earth Systems Research Laboratory, 2015. Grab this right here and, just do that. Go right to it. Accidental geoengineering, airline traffic may help create icy haze that's brightening U.S. skies. I do my homework. I know what the hell I'm talking about, and I keep all the receipts. And then I stuff them all into a beautiful timeline for you. And I took it a step further. I actually downloaded his presentation that he gave to the AGU. Evidence of clear sky daylight whitening. Are we already conducting geoengineering? That's a much more honest response right there. And you can see that right here. This is his actual slides. Clear sky daylight whitening. Whitening the sky. Are we already conducting geoengineering? By Chuck Long, Jim Bernard, and Connor Flynn. They're from Pacific Northwest National Lab. Yeah. Anyway, and this is his previous paper on it. So, I mean, it's undeniable. It is geoengineering. So why are they effing around with us? Moving back to this, our rating false. Chemtrails do not exist. Period. Point blank. The Hunter Biden laptop, it does not exist. It is Russian disinformation. You shall censor it, all social media. We shall not have the truth out there. Oh, but wait, the Hunter Biden laptop was real. And the Twitter files proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt. And the FBI had it for a year before the election. And 70% of Democrat voters said they would not have voted for Joe Biden if they had heard the truth about the Hunter Biden laptop story. These people are propagandists. They are out there trying to control your mind with their fact-checking bullshit. And nobody buys it anymore. Oh? Yes. My family is home. Hello, family. Well, I think that we pretty much summed this up, and you guys can take the rest from the details. This is my beautiful daughter rocking my Pantera shirt. Here's my other beautiful daughter. Say hello to the beautiful internets.
Hello, beautiful internets.
Say goodnight, Emma. Say goodnight, Caroline.
Good night, Caroline.
Guys, it's been really fun debunking the fact checkers. There's so much more I could go into, but all the links are in the details. Please, go through those details, share this video, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button if you can. Support my channel. Links in the details also to give donations. And please, share it out because sharing is caring. With information comes power. With power comes great responsibility. So please use this information to attack ideas, not people. Even if they're dumb and they're from the fake news. Don't hit them. Just yell at them. Love you, mean it. Good night. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.